Thank you very much, Tom, for that fantastic introduction. Yes, if you are wondering what me, the guy from Kcal, knows about healthy food, it's a very fair question to ask. The answer is nothing. That's why I have an amazing panel of experts here to help me today. I said, you know, I read a lot of industry magazines and engage in a lot of industry content, and so often they talk about healthy food as being a trend, which I think is crazy. It's not a trend. It's something that is vitally important to millions of people, that is a big part of people's lifestyle. It's definitely not a trend. It's becoming more popular, which I think is perhaps why people look at it that way. But yeah, I think it's just a huge, important part of the industry. One that's increasing every year. Hopefully not too much. I still have burgers to sell. So, you know, we don't want healthy eating taking over everything. But no, I'm excited to have a fantastic panel here to talk us through some of the subjects. We only have 30 minutes, which is not enough time to talk through what is a fantastic part of the industry. But let me just quickly introduce the team here. As I said, we have Tarryn-Leigh at the end. As said, chef and co-founder of Nyum Meals, head of diversity and inclusion for Emirates Culinary Guild. Thank you so much for joining us. Andreas Borgmann, founder and chief executive of Kcal, and possibly the fittest man I have ever seen in my life. Incredible. You can tell he's probably never heard of pickle burgers, has he? But no, looking good, looking good. Manisha Advani, founder of Soul Santé Cafe. Thank you very much for joining us. And next to me, Shivani Sharma, chef and founder of Bliss Bites UAE, and Miten Desarkar, chief dietitian and MD of Simply Healthy. As I said, this is a huge section of the industry, I think, healthy eating, and something that just becomes more and more popular every year. So the first question I want to ask is a fairly broad one in terms of, with the industry growing so much, with so many people looking towards living in a healthier lifestyle, how has that affected your businesses, and how has that affected the way that you design menus? Do you need to be broader to kind of reach a wider range of people now? Or are people more aware of things like keto and different aspects of healthy lifestyles? You know, how has this kind of interest in healthy eating changed things? Let me come to Andreas first, as the fellow male on the panel. We'll start off the discussion.
All right, so yeah, well, with Instagram, Facebook, and all the reels and shorts and so on, everybody wants to look great, right? Besides, you know, using filters and stuff. So you still want to look great when you walk down the road, right? Because you can't walk around with the phone. This is actually what I look like, you know. So health is definitely a growing trend for sure. You see that with all the clinics popping up, Botox here, there, everywhere, blah, blah, blah. People are very well aware of it, and obviously when the company Kcal was started quite a while ago, there was, you know, only a couple, but now there's hundreds and hundreds of companies that goes down the same route as what we do, right? Like anything, when you see something's happening and you see the market growing, then obviously why not jump on it? And, you know, healthy is cool. So when it comes to menu and so forth, I mean, Kcal doesn't really try to go down a route of a specific diet. We have kind of, you know, we have so much data, so we kind of build our own kind of diet, which we call the Kcal. So it kind of like fits maybe 85% of all diets that there, because most diet that people choose to go on, they end up leaving it and going back to the old life, and they get nothing out of it. So, you know, small steps, you know, and the most important thing in health is that it tastes good. And it's, you know, a long-term commitment. You know, when taste is there and the pleasure in eating is there, then it's a habit created.
As you said, the amount of competition that you have has increased hugely. But I guess the amount of people interested in healthy eating has also increased. So for you, Andreas, are you seeing the growth that you would expect, or is the challenge coming in with the competitors?
I think it's healthy. I love challenge because it makes me want to work harder to make sure I please the clients properly, or the customers, right? Because you spend money on something and you want the best you can get, like any customer of any product. So, but you know, when you learn, you look at newcomers and see, okay, what are they doing? What do they see that I don't see? And you learn from it, as any other business. You always look at competition and see what they're doing and so on. And I think the most important thing is to listen to the customer. See, a lot of people forget what food is. Food is a daily consumable, right? It's not like buying a purse or a car or anything like that. It's something that you just need. It needs to fuel you. So there, when a lot of people, they talk about marketing and food and so on, they forget what they're talking about, because food is a consumable that you need daily, or else you won't be able to live. So you gotta make it as simple as possible, as easy to get access to. Hence the aggregators, right? We're creating a culture of lazy people in Dubai because everybody can get everything with a Diet Coke. 5 minutes, 3 dirhams. It doesn't even make any sense. But that's where we are right now. So there's a lot of things you need to take into account.
Tarryn-Leigh, if I can come to you, something Andreas said there about listening to the customer. How have you found that with your brand in terms of, you said, creating that menu, but then having to adapt it, or getting feedback and understanding just exactly what the customer wants? And in a city like Dubai, which is so cosmopolitan, that must be quite challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually started out as a chilled meal company and focused on adults' meals. And we are now frozen and focused on children's meals. So we listened, we sat down, and we listened to what people needed. As myself, I know how difficult it is to get good quality food for children, and something that's holistic and wholesome and nutritious, but something that they actually want to eat. And that's not flown over from wherever else in the world. So, yeah, and then in terms of the frozen aspect, coming from the UK, everything is fresh is best, and that's not how it works here. It's different here, and we had to learn that, and that was in some ways a sort of a hard pill for me to swallow. But in hindsight, it was so obvious because we blast chill our meals in less than 15 minutes, which means that all the nutritional value of the meals, which targeting the children, have 2 of their 5 a day in each meal. That means that nutritional value is retained. Whereas if it's chilled over life, it loses that nutritional value. So then what's the point? So yeah, we really do take our feedback seriously.
What was the biggest lesson you had to learn, do you think, as part of that feedback? What did you really have to take note of?
I mean, it's no small feat to move from a chilled to frozen. I had to fundamentally redevelop everything. We had to change how our supply chain worked. We had to, even just in the retail capacity, in terms of where we sit in the fixtures in retail, it's a whole different ball game. And frozen is so, there is just so much in frozen that actually the space that you have is so small. And there's another change that we're making. We make partnerships now to try and make our meals more attractive to children, because that's something that we realized. Our parents are buying our meals, and thankfully the children enjoy it, so we have great retention of customer. But on retail shelf space, the kids just look at them like, whatever, spaghetti bolognese. So now we've got a new partner. We're relaunching with co-packaging using different characters, like Paw Patrol, for example, in the next couple of weeks. And so now kids will be eating 2 of their 5 a day in Paw Patrol meals.
I love Paw Patrol, so I will be having some of that, absolutely. Manisha, to come to you. It's So Santi Cafe. How do you entice customers? Is it people who just want to live a healthy lifestyle, or do you try and attract people like me who don't even understand what the word healthy means? How do you bring in that wide range of customers through your menu?
Yeah, you're coming next week, right? So I've already attracted you. But so ours is a little different to everyone else's because we're purely plant-based and vegan. And I know it's a buzzword, but honestly, it's something we believe in, our ethos. And what really made us go in this direction is because people have a dearth of options available. They have Kcal, they have mittens plans, they have Bliss Bites, they have a lot of options. But for us, what it was is we just really wanted to create a sustainable impact. So by being vegan, we're already sustainable. Even it drills down to the products we use. And what we're really trying to focus on is trying to give people something more nutritionally dense. For example, you really don't want to eat like a salad. You know, no one does. And I think all of us actually really try to make sure that we're offering our customers something a little more, you know, like a step above the rest, and trying to, like she said, trying to listen to the customer. So for example, it would be your favorite childhood meal that you're craving. What I would do on the other hand is, yes, of course, I'd turn it vegan, but also I would try to make it more nutritionally dense. So I would add other products or other ingredients such as seeds, nuts, something with more fiber that would still like keep the taste intact, but also try to give you your daily nutritional fiber and daily nutritional content. And one of the biggest challenges that we faced in terms of, like, let's say just general marketing is trying to explain to people that the taste is still going to be there, but it's definitely going to be better for you in the long run. So just try to maintain and try to listen to the market. And I feel like Instagram University is educating them a little bit, but also they're giving them a lot of diet gimmicks. There was one meme that says, water is bad for you, kale is bad for you, spinach is bad for you, air is bad for you, so just stop living. But the point is to educate the customer on what you are trying to offer them, and then you have your specific market segment, and then from then on, it's their choice.
I always knew kale was bad for me. That's why I never touched it. Shivani, if I can come to you. You can borrow my mic. I'm wasting it anyway. That's okay. There we go. Yeah. So, as Manisha covered there, enticing customers and giving that excitement, kind of staying healthy, but giving them an option that excites them, that makes them want to come. Is that a challenge?
No. Okay. I'm doing it for 8 years in India, and my brand and my success story in India is that we use Indian origin millets. It's popularly called as Gormistan, and over here it's called Bliss Bites. So everything from a bread to a croissant to a cake, we have just converted the flour off and use millets. So it's naturally gluten-free, it's very low on glycemic index, and also it's something which is extremely light on your gut. So we don't face, honestly, a challenge in inducing a customer that, try something. But yes, they do have these kind of dilemmas, and they say, oh, it's gluten-free, it's going to be hard, it's going to be like not tasty. But that's where chefs like us, come in, and we bring a lot more flavors.
So I come from the marketing side of things. So I mean, is there a challenge there? Is it, how do you get them to take that first leap and to try it? And yeah, you believe in the quality of your product. Once they try it, they are going to love it. But is there that barrier that you need to get past? Like convincing someone like me who just eats burgers all day, how you convince me to come and try it?
I'll bring the food to you.
Well,
I don't need to, honestly.
I'll give you my address.
It's a great question, because initially when I started off 8 years ago, people were, they were not aware. They were not aware that 80% meals that we also have in our daily life are actually healthy, when we start our breakfast or anything. But it's just the way it has been presented, So it's just all about working on with the flavors, yeah. And I mean, how I started, I can be a testimony to myself. I did a lot of trials. I did focus group trials. I did blind trials for people to make them understand this is a flour spaghetti and this is a millet spaghetti. So just a blind trial. So for us, brands like us, I feel, it's a lot to do with word of mouth marketing as well. And that's what I believe in. Any brand can sustain with that.
Mitten, to come to you, I know you're obviously involved in ready meals, which I think is such an explosion in this market. Every time I come home in my apartment block, there's one sitting outside everyone's apartment ready for the next day they've been dropped off. But we've seen, and obviously being healthy is such a huge, important part of that. How much have you seen that explode in Dubai, and what do you think is the reason behind it?
You know what? I started the meal plan business by accident. I'm a clinical dietitian. So my patients used to come and tell me, Mithun, we understand that you want us to have, let's say, 100 grams of chicken, use avocado oil, so many grams of broccoli, but it's so difficult for us to get access to do the groceries and procure all these groceries as such. How do we even get about doing it? That's how the idea came into fruition. This was way back in 2005. And then We did very well until 2008. Somewhere in 2008, the recession happened, and this was a luxury product, literally, at that time. So in 2009, we had to shut shop. In 2011, I restarted the whole brand once again, Simply Healthy, because again, my clients came back that we want to get started. So they gave me the confidence that you need to get back. Now, from 2011, I must say, it was wonderful. Wonderful is an understatement because everyone wants to be healthy somewhere. Everyone wants to look good. Now, comes COVID, people become more and more conscious because it's COVID. Having a good foundation, having a healthy body is what is going to help me stay healthy. Then comes 2021, 2022, and then we see a buzz. Andreas will agree with me, from 4 to 5 companies. Now there are 400 meal plan companies, right? That means there's a boom in the market. Is it causing a ripple in your business? Yes, there must be, but I think there's business for everyone. Like, for example, my USP is, mine is not just a meal plan company. If you have diabetes, if you have polycystic ovarian syndrome, if you have insulin resistance, if you have high cholesterol, we customize your meals because in the beginning first, we're doing your lab investigations, getting your biomarkers in play. We need to know what is wrong with you, then curate a diet plan, and then the meals are prepared in the Simply Healthy kitchen and delivered to you. So I think there is business for everyone. All the influencers who talk about do keto diet, get on weight loss pills, do a juice cleanse, I think the consumer has to become smarter about their own health and not fall prey to these kind of gimmicks.
Well,
you know?
Speaking of perhaps gimmicks, when I'm out now for dinner, half my friends are barely touching their food because they're on Ozempic or something like that.
Oh my God.
As a
Oh my
dietitian, has that affected you guys?
See, I'll tell you what, again, it has become a trend again. Ozempic is a semaglutide, which is a GLP-1 agonist. What it does actually is, if you are diabetic and you're obese, and you have to worry about cardiovascular risks, then you come in the category of taking Ozempic. But the problem is, because it's a weight loss drug, it's a miracle drug that is showcased as, women, men are all falling prey to it. They think that if I take this drug, I will lose weight quickly without actually making an effort. Now, yes, in the beginning, when you take that drug in small doses, you lose weight. Because again, what it's doing is it's inhibiting the glucagon and the diabetes goes down, your weight starts going down. But a point comes when you have to start increasing the dose. And that's the problem. And when you increase the dose, that's when you have actually killed your appetite, suppressed your appetite, and your cravings go down. But the side effect nobody talks about is the food is actually sitting in your stomach for 3 to 4 hours. Okay? It's slowing the digestion process. So by the time it gets into your small intestine, the digestion, assimilation, and everything that happens, absorption, is all delayed. And that's when your appetite is suppressed. Women and men have faced symptoms like vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, stomach pain. People don't talk about the depression that sets in. Thyroid cancers are on the rise after Ozempic, pancreatitis. Then we are talking about gut paresis. There are so many things, kidney damages, gallstone problems, which is not focused and not highlighted. The only highlight is weight loss, right? And these side effects nobody's talking about. Also, let's understand, what you lose lean muscle mass. You don't lose fat. So that is why you see women, we call them Ozempic face, Ozempic butt, Ozempic breasts. So women, men are all ready to go through any measures to lose weight, but healthy is the right way. You have to still exercise, you still have to sleep well, you have to still take less stress, eat healthy. So that's why we are all here, players in the market. We're helping you be healthy.
Absolutely. Tarryn-Leigh, I think coming on from that, the big aspect must be education and making people understand that they don't need to do that there are better ways. But education probably needs to start at a very young age and people need to be brought up in this. Do we see that happen, or do you think there's still a challenge there?
It's a huge challenge. I'm actually working with Dubai Municipality in terms of their new food regulations for children, and trying to build a campaign around how we educate children in schools, but all the way starting from nursery school and building it up, and the parents, because we have a very diverse culture here in the UAE, very lots of different cultures who have very different ways of eating and some people sit down and have a full meal at school, and some people have a sandwich, and some people have a bag of crisps, and it's just absolutely frightening to see how diverse it is. But you can't blame the children, and so what's happening is that we've got these children growing up into adults that are unhealthy, and then they're looking on Instagram and seeing all these young thin models, and then going, okay, well, I want a quick fix because, you know, because that's what we have. We've lost our patience. No one wants to do the long, hard work. Everything is instant gratification. And so it really we have to go back to the grindstone. And it's difficult because then we also have working parents who don't have the time. And then there's the guilt, and then what are you feeding them? And it's difficult. So yes, there's a lot of work to be done. I think it's a whole holistic campaign. Restaurants, hotels, indoor play areas. You go to a hotel, I've got 2 fussy eaters. They literally eat, you know, fries for the week. I sit and cry because, you know, my husband and I are both chefs, and we sit and we have these 2 kids that unless it's covered in ketchup, they won't eat it. It doesn't mean I'm a bad mother. It doesn't mean I don't know how to feed my children, but there's lots of things to take into consideration.
Andreas, I wonder if you could weigh in on, I see a lot of places, a lot of brands, a lot of even dishes and products in supermarkets, for example, describing themselves as healthy, organic, certain buzzwords perhaps that I don't think are necessarily applicable. Do you think that's an issue that we have?
Definitely. Well, it depends on who you ask what health is, right? If you live at McDonald's and Burger King, you know, eating something that says healthy in the supermarket might be healthier. But is it good for you, right? Guts, you know, there's so many, I mean, health is such a wide spectrum of things, right? So, and unlike many places in Europe, we don't have an ombudsman here, which can actually say that you are not allowed to advertise this way because of A, B, and C. Whereas in Europe, you have laws against this stuff, and you actually get fined heavily for this, especially when it goes down. I mean, even on Facebook, if you do ads on Facebook, you gotta be careful with using, or Meta, you gotta be careful about using the term health. If you use it wrong, blocked, then you can't advertise. So, you know, I think, look, this country is very young, right? And people here made quite a bit of money, you know, because there's no taxes versus, for instance, my home country, which is Denmark, supposedly rich, but nobody has money there. You know, people have a lot more cash here, and that plays into what you buy as well. It's much easier to put extra stuff in the basket when you shop, or, you know, buy the wrong meals for your kids or something like that, you know? I mean, when I was a kid, I had McDonald's maybe once a year because we couldn't afford it because it's too expensive. You know, my mom would cook.
I can see that.
Yeah, exactly, right. So you know, coming back to what you said, I totally agree with everything you've said. It is very hard to have kids, and I think a lot of parents now are also extremely weak. Like they have maids and all this, and they're just weaklings. You know what I mean? They don't want to say no because, you know, I don't see my kids enough. If I say no, they might not love me. Blah, 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 blah. You know, you're doing the bear a favor. That's what they say. You know what I mean?
There's I think a lot of people are turning to technology now to try and be healthier, track what they do. Shivani, is that something that you've seen? Does it work? Do people put in the effort that they need to do this, or is it, again, just a fad that kind of comes and goes?
I don't think so. It's a fad. I think it's a necessity today. We use a very beautiful system called Kcal, which is designed by a friend, Sonia Usher. She was sitting right here. She's not around. But it's very informative for us because the moment we write our recipe on the system, it exactly gives us the details of the carbs and the proteins, everything. So I think it's important to a level, but still, I would want to, in fact, know this from Andrea, actually, because I eat a lot of Kcal myself, yeah? And, but my... My only dilemma here that comes in is that, of course, to us, her result, there are things which goes in the freezer. Is it losing its nutrient or is it staying intact? Because that is something is a gray area still for me as per AI or technology, that is it giving me the right information of the carbs that I'm taking in? So that's something is, I always have a debate with Sonia also that, yes, I use the system, but how accurate is it? So I think these guys are like pro at it.
Do you want me to answer?
Yes, please, I would love you to answer that.
You can answer as well, but
Yes.
Vegetables are quick frozen are actually healthier than real vegetables. So taking that into content when food is cooked, the longer you leave it out without freezing it, the faster it decomposes. So, yeah, hope that answers the question.
The meals are blast chilled immediately, frozen, and then it reaches you.
But
So we are retaining the nutrients. If you leave it at room temperature, that's when you're calling for contamination and bacteria.
Yeah, but I feel that people who go out to eat grills and they're thinking you're a gym goer yourself, yeah. I used to do deadlifts at one point of time, but when they say it, these are the fads which I'm saying because you asked me about is it a fad or is it here to stay? I've seen people who will come out of the gym, yeah, and they say, oh, I need the protein, I need to go to a grill place, and I'm going to grab 3 breast pieces of chicken, and I'm going to calculate on my app. So that's what I want to know from 3 of you, how accurate it is, because that's something which I feel is a total fad because there's so much marination that's gone in that chicken and then gone on the grill. So you're not counting all of that. You're just counting and putting on the app, it says, 3 breast pieces, which has 40 grams of chicken. Oh, come on. It's not true. So that's what I want to ask from you guys because you're into meals.
All right. So I understand the concern. And I would say some company might lie. Well, I know they do because I check it. But the only way you can accurately calculate any nutrition is cooked weight. You can't do the raw weight because of water and evaporation and so forth. So whenever you see calculations, it's quite easy to calculate actually. Is it 100% right? It will never be unless you're lab tested, but within 5%, maybe 10, I would say 5, yes. But that's the best you get unless you send it and lab test it because that's when you pull it apart and so forth.
I want to add to that actually. So he's right, it's never going to be 100% accurate, but like he said, Dubai is very nascent and they're really making the right efforts. Before they said, oh, we're gonna make sure calories are mandatory. It never happened. Yeah. Still waiting. Because we put calories everywhere because we really want to be able to give people the right information. And you said in terms of technology, I think that's always going to evolve. And there are other apps, just like she mentioned. There's also apps where you can really be in control of what you're ordering from where, and then the place will customize it for you. So there are such apps also, but it's super important that you really look at the bigger picture. And then if we drill down to nitty-gritty, then we can't eat anything, honestly.
Absolutely, and the recipes are going to change. Every restaurant might have a little change in your chicken tikka recipe.
You actually can't rely on AI as well.
So 5%, 10% plus minus, you have to keep in account when you're doing your macro counting, if that's what your intention is.
Yeah. And 100%, like now when you're going to the supermarket, for example, and we were talking about kids and buzzwords, and it says raw, healthy. And you look at the back, it has 50 ingredients. There's no way I'm going to be able to digest 50 ingredients. There's no way. And then it says sugar-free, and then again you flip, actual sugar is 22 grams. I'm like, there's no way, like I'm going to lose weight. So honestly, technology is a plus and minus. The more information you have, the crazier you get.
Fantastic. We're down to the last 40 seconds, so I'm going to give each of you 10 seconds, because I can't count to 40, to tell me something that excites you about the industry over the next year. Tarryn-Leigh at the end, if you can start. Something that excites you about the industry, very, very quickly.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how the UAE as a whole are going to be enforcing new regulations and guidelines and supporting the community as a whole to become more healthy.
Awesome. Andreas?
That's what I wanted to say. No, I actually agree on that. I think the government is leading the way. Sheikh Hamdan is leading the way with all the fitness and so forth. I think this country sets itself apart. I'm sorry, I'm trying to speak faster. Sets itself apart by leaders showing where we're going. But the nation is young, and there is a lot of fast food chains, and people are becoming very lazy. So.
We're out of time, but we're going to keep going because Andreas can stop anyone kicking us off the stage. So, Manisha.
Thank you. So like he said, it's ever evolving. This market is a great market for people who really want to be able to experiment. And I love where this is going. People are really trying to pay attention, and the government has been super supportive. So us as a group trying to be able to promote plant-based food is a really big plus right now. Just try to be able to cater to people's tastes and changing preferences.
Mithun, very quick.
I know AI is taking over big time, all the menu planning, all the dietary preferences, maybe shopping, ingredients, inventories. I'm very keen to know who's going to cook. Is AI going to take over? Are there going to be robots cooking our foods now? So I don't know. I'm very keen to know that.
It could happen. It could happen. Shivani?
Okay, I think great points for everyone, but I would say if F&B has to stay in the world, it always has to be consistent and innovative. That's what I feel at it.
Fantastic, amazing. Thank you so much to the wonderful panel for that enlightening talk. Thank you all.